welcome to the Box Score. Murphy Fair along with Terry Collins. We want to thank our fine title sponsor, Blackwell Realty, and the Josh Turvey team. And Murph, we had a ball game in Carthage last Friday night, and the Owls pretty impressive with a big 40-point win.
Honestly, I never saw that one coming, Terry. I guess I was picking Maplewood based on reputation only because they're always so athletic, so fast, and I didn't allow for a new head coach near enough, apparently.
Well, when you look, Smith County just did it on the ground, Murphy. 35 carries, 369 yards. That's over 10 yards a pop. That's going to get it done most nights.
That may set a new record in the record books. 10 yards a carry is pretty stout, especially against a team that's as fast as Maplewood is.
When you look, Murphy, Owls come up with 3 turnovers, 2 pass interceptions, one by Ryan Martin, the other one by Andrew Wheely, and then on a pooch kickoff, Ryan Martin recovers it. A big thing that was in this game is Maplewood never punted. They never attempted to punt. I'm not sure why, because they'd have 4th and 20 from their own 40, yet they went for it. So the Owls had a lot of short fields, especially there in the second quarter.
There's a handful of coaches all across the country, 2 or 3 here in the state of Tennessee, Chandler Tygard at Blackman in particular, that don't punt either, but they're using stats, they're using analytics, they're using a lot of things to do what Pulaski Academy in Little Rock does. And it sounds like the guy, Coach Davis from Maplewood, just didn't have a kicker.
Right, and when you look, Smith County, no turnovers. They limited their penalties. They did have 2 or 3 major infractions, but you know, the first team gave up only 99 yards through 3 quarters, held them in check. There were no big splash plays, Murphy, and I think that's when you look at the stats and you play a team like Maplewood, you've got the limit, and that is their home run ball, that, 20, 30, 40, 50-yard game.
With teams like Westmoreland and East Nashville still on the schedule, that's got to give the Owls a great momentum burst, if you will, as they get ready for the really difficult regional part of their schedule.
We want to thank KFC Taco Bell of Gordonsville and Smithville for our stats of the week there. Quarterback, pretty ineffective for Maplewood, 10 for 23, only 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rushing, they just had a tough time. Of course, Josh Smith came in the 4th quarter and had a couple of rushes for 73 yards. They had 168 total yards for the night, but as I said earlier, only 99 of those given up by the first team. Another big night for Peyton Hicks rushing the football. 12 rushes, 142 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 2-point conversion. Jaden Evans, the freshman, came in, was a big spark for the Owls. 9 rushes, 83 yards and a score. And then Bryce Curry, 6 rushes for 72 yards. So the Owls had the ground game going. And Murphy, I think the one big point is a lot of times the Owl ball carrier didn't get touched. So they were 4 or 5 yards down the field.
That's amazing. You look at those stats and you wonder who you need to credit the most, the offense, the defense, the special teams. But it sounds to me like Coach Matt Dyer's team just had a complete great effort last Friday night.
Well, it was 43-0 at halftime, which invoked the running clock in the 3rd and 4th quarters. And let's go ahead and look at some highlights from the Panthers and the Owls. First, the opening kickoff, Murphy. Kylan Johnson scoops it up and goes to the house. Uses great speed and just got by the kicker, and he gets the Owls crowd going big time.
Kind of set the tone for the night on that very first play, didn't he?
Hicks a great cut here and got some great downfield blocking by his receivers and just wouldn't go down.
I was going to say, he just didn't quit, did he?
Right, he just didn't do that. Peyton Hicks has shown that all season long since they put him at quarterback. Now here's Bryce Curry, makes a couple of great cuts, gets in the end zone on a 14-yard run. Now they're going to try to go deep. The Owls on some deep coverage, and Andrew Wheely, the senior, pulls down the interception.
Pretty good sized defender there, but
right.
He just couldn't get in the right place at the right time.
Jaden Evans, the freshman, goes in for the Owls, and Smith County kind of waltzes Murphy, and I don't know that anybody going into this ball game thought it was going to be a 56-16 ball game.
No, and it looks as though it could have been much worse than that had Coach Dyer not called the horses off, so to speak, a little bit.
Well, the good thing is you really didn't see the Owls in the second half let off the gas any. And I think as a coach, when you're up 43-0, that's easy to do sometimes.
Sure. And I know that's got to please the entire Owl staff with their never quit attitude throughout the entire ball game, whether you were talking about the starters or the second team. If they got in the ball game, they were going to make a big play.
Let's go ahead and look at some team recaps from around the area. Of course, Oliver Springs and Gordonsville was a COVID win for the Tigers. Game will not be rescheduled. Gordonsville's up to number 8 in the Class 1A AP poll. No record for Oliver Springs.
No, they've had. I think they've had have a couple of losses in their schedule due to COVID. It's a tough thing for Larry Green in his I think 4th or 5th year up there at Oliver Springs, but it's one of those things that is kind of a fact of life anymore on the football field.
Of course, Cannon County. Well, we spoke about it last week's show, getting the a big COVID win over Sequatchie County and gives them a leg up, Murphy, to get into the playoffs.
It also helps build momentum for the Lions, and they need a little bit of that. They need something good to happen to their football team, and they've still got Grundy County and Community on their schedule, and I think they're probably going to qualify for the playoffs with that loss. Only 5 teams in the region, but now they need to set their sights on getting one of those playoff games at home.
Murph, you look at Westmoreland and Watertown. Westmoreland, just a tough luck club. They lose to Portland by 3 back earlier in the year. Then they played a tough Macon County team, lose it 14-6. And then last week, they're down 3-0 at halftime. A couple of Trey Pack field goals of 40 and 22 yards, and Watertown gets their first win of the year over a winless Westmoreland team. But a winless Westmoreland team, a dangerous squad coming to Carthage this week.
Yeah, losing 3 games by, an average of 5 points a ball game,
Right.
That's a pretty good football team. And I know Coach Perry, going into the season, was pretty excited about this football team. And when you see that many losses by that few of points, it's a little concerning. And I know he's probably scratching his head trying to figure out what do we need to do to get over this hump right now.
One of the things in talking to people that went to the Watertown-Westmoreland game, Westmoreland had trouble stopping Watertown's rush. Cousineau, not a big night, 48 yards. You know, most coaches would take that. But when you look at Adam Cooper, 18 rushes for 132 yards, that was kind of the difference in the game. And Kwame C, 5 rushes for 80 yards. So when you look at that, Murph, the running game was what Watertown used, and they dominated time of possession.
Obviously, Cooper with a great effort. That's a little over 6 yards a carry, and coaches will take that all night long.
For sure. Lance Fripp with 10 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 sack. Trey Pack, as we said, 2 for 2 on field goals. And Murphy, that's often an overlooked part of the football team, the kicker. But as we've seen in many, many games, it can be the difference. If you've got a guy that can boom that thing into the end zone and make another team go 80 yards on the kickoff, and then with field goals, if you can hit them from 40 yards in, because most time people have to go for it on 4th down when they get deep in the other team's territory because they don't have that weapon.
It's not just at the high school level either. It's in college and on Sunday afternoon professional games. Coaches always emphasize special teams being just as important as offense and defense.
Well, we talked about what a great game we thought this one was going to be, and it lived up to the billing. DeKalb County travels to Lafayette, and Macon County a big win, 32-29, to kind of give them a leg up on a home playoff berth in the region. And Briz Kraft had a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown. Kobe Barnes, Isaac Knowles, both a rushing touchdown. For Macon County, Cameron Houston, 2 receiving touchdown and a kickoff return for a TD. And then Brady Brooks, their quarterback, 3 passing touchdown, and then Bryson Higgins, an interception return touchdown. So when you look, it looks as if, you know, the kickoff return for the touchdown and the interception return for the touchdown proved key for Kyle Shoulders' squad.
I've mentioned it a couple of times in previous weeks how good a passing football team Macon County is. Coach Shoulders up there likes to throw the football. They did extremely well in 7-on-7 camps back during the month of July. And you look at those stats, 3 passing touchdowns. They like to throw the football, and obviously they tested DeKalb County secondary a lot.
Macon County definitely has a lot of weapons. We'll look at the region scores when we return here to the Box Score, as it's brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team.
There's no shortage of real estate companies out there, but there's only one Blackwell Realty and Auction. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction has the knowledge and the experience necessary to help you. They understand that real estate sales happen because of the hours of work they put into every sale, whether representing you as the buyer, the seller, or both. Get started today the Kirby way. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction. Call them today or visit blackwellrealtyandauction.com.
Life can be so busy these days, but all of my services from DTC really help make everything easier and more enjoyable.
For a limited time, earn a $25 bill credit for your favorite local school and $25 for you when you add or upgrade internet service or TV with DTC.
I get great value with DTC.
Call or stop by today to learn more. DTC Communications, your total communications provider.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for master maintenance technicians, maintenance trainer, electricians, miners, mill operators, mill technicians, warehouse attendant, business analyst, mine supervisor, and other amazing opportunities. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and much more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
Powell & Metals Insurance, in business since 1894, provides knowledgeable and personal service to our clients. One call puts you in touch with a local agent who will help you shop from a variety of top companies. At Powell & Metals Insurance Agency, we work for you. Call today or visit us online anytime.
We are here to help you. Let us show you what customer service is all about. Give us a call today.
Does the service from your security company leave you feeling uncertain? Like us, you want to feel good about your security company because your home and family safety is so important.
For just $99.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3-window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and 3 months of monitoring. It's super easy to get started.
You're ready for local security service. Give us a call or visit DTC online and discover our local values today.
And welcome back to the Box Score. Murphy Farrell along with myself, Terry Collins. We want to thank our fine title sponsor, which is Blackwell Realty and Auction, and the Josh Kirby team. And Murphy, let's jump into these Sonic scores from last week. I know that COVID, unfortunately, has played a vital role throughout the state. A lot of games canceled. Gordonsville's win over Oliver Springs, and then Joe Burns' a big win over Red Boiling Springs. And Murphy, that tells me that Joe Burns, at least from the scores we've seen in the first 2 weeks, a much improved squad.
Yeah, I think so. Coach Adkins, born and bred in Cedar Hill, he played for the Red Devils, and I know he's been a little concerned the first part of the season with the way they got it started, but they didn't call off the dogs at all against the Bulldogs, did they?
Sonic of Carthage sponsoring this segment. We appreciate them. Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4 2A scores, and that was one we just talked about. That was Watertown, 6-0 win over Westmoreland, and I think you got to give East Robertson some credit there. 22-0 loss to Trousdale County. A lot of people thought that may be a little bit more one-sided.
Well, Trousdale County is still Trousdale County, but I don't think Coach Satterfield has quite got that team where he'd like it to be. They're not the overpowering Yellow Jacket team, at least in these first 3 games or so that we've come to know for so many years. And of course, they had a lot of kids on that senior, a lot of seniors on that team last year. And he's not, and Coach Dyer at Smith County is not part of that coaching staff anymore either. And you can't help but wonder, losing someone as strong as he is in the coaching fraternity, despite his youth, I'm sure the Satterfields would love to have him back on the sideline.
Whites Creek, a big win over Harpeth, 28-26. Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4 3A scores. Sonic and Carthage sponsoring those, and we've got a couple of COVID victories for Giles County and Cannon County. There,
well, I hate that for Grundy County. They're struggling so much, and then to add insult to injury, then they've got to deal with COVID as well. That's the kind of thing that's going on all across the state. Cannon did, however, pick up a win against a team that most people would not have picked Sequatchie County to lose that game. But that's a huge mark in the win column for Cannon County, and like I said, they've still got a couple of very winnable games ahead of them. So things are starting to look a little bit better in Woodbury.
Region 5 3A Sonic of Carthage scores. Of course, we've got the Smith County win over Maplewood. We spoke of that earlier. And in talking with Coach Dyer, he felt like that Johnson's opening kickoff and Jameson Keeley being such a beast on that defensive line were two big keys to that win.
Well, like we said earlier when we were showing the clips, that's a great way to start a game, get the momentum on your side early. And you know that had to take a lot of the wind out of the sails for Maplewood very early in the ball game.
Murphy, when you look at this next score, you know, a lot of people trying to measure and stick Maplewood, East Nashville, and Stratford. But I think East Nashville and Stratford are kind of a cut above when it comes to those three teams. And East Nashville gets the big win, 41-33, and a pretty big offensive explosion.
I've got a lot of respect for both of those head coaches at East Nashville and Stratford as well, and I figured that one would be a close game. Would not have been surprised at all had Stratford won that game, but East Nashville's just got a lot more kids back from last year, and I know they had to be happy. That kind of set the tone. Now the regional championship game is going to boil down, I think, to East Nashville and Smith County.
Definitely could. Of course, Smith County still got East Nashville and Stratford to go on their schedule, along with Jackson County, who got a big win over Sale Creek, 27-20.
Yeah, Sale Creek, a team that started up football probably, 6-8 years ago, something like that, and Coach Cox has been at the helm of the program since its inception, but they're still struggling a little bit. I know that had to please Jackson County fans an awful lot because they hadn't had a lot of marks in the win column the last couple of years either.
Let's look at the Region 4 4A scores, and that we said, you know, and sometimes we build a game up and it's not maybe what we thought it would be, but I think this one was when you look at Macon County being at home, winning 32-29 over DeKalb, a game that just went back and forth.
Yeah, it was a fun one for the fans, I'm sure, on both sides of the field. They didn't have to wait around very long for big plays at all.
Upperman, a solid win over Cumberland County. Looks like they may be the cream of the crop in that region, although, you know, when you look at that, Murph, I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference between Macon, DeKalb, and Upperman.
No, it'll be interesting to see how Upperman fares in these next 2 or 3 games as far as regional play is concerned. That region is very strong at the top and very weak at the bottom. There's not any middle ground in that region at all.
Stone Memorial, big win over Livingston, 49-12. Hawkeye just continuing to struggle under her first-year head coach. And, you know, that's the thing about it, Murphy, when you look at the tradition that Livingston's had, and Bruce Lim, longtime coach there, you know, he leaves with all his staff. I'm not sure if any of those returned assistant coaches back to Livingston, and I'm sure that, you know, it's just been a big transition for them. Maybe the talent level not like it once was, but you know, Livingston always puts quality teams on the athletic fields, and I'm sure that's the aim of them in football, just like it is baseball or girls basketball or boys basketball.
Coach Lamb had a great reason to leave. His daughter playing professional basketball in Europe, and he wanted to take advantage of that situation to go watch her play at the next level beyond college basketball, and you can't blame him. And I think most of the other coaches had just figured it was their time.
Right.
They've been involved with Wildcat football for a long, long time, and I know Coach Flatt would like to have some of that experience back on his staff, but it will come. Wildcat fans just need to be patient.
Let's go ahead and look at some other scores. Sonic and Carthage sponsoring this segment. We appreciate them. Waverly, big win over Sycamore, and Waverly finally back playing football.
Yeah, and I know they've got to be awfully happy about that. Tough situation. Some of those people will never recover from all the flooding and loss of life over there, but that was great for not only the football team, but the community itself. Just needed something good to happen to that Humphreys County area.
Lebanon gets up 14-0, and Chuck Gentry gets a win over Pupil.
I was thinking the same thing, Pupil over the teachers.
Yeah. Lebanon wins at 21-14. When you look at that, that's developed a pretty good rivalry, Murphy, through the last few years with Chuck going to Lebanon. Of course, both of those coaches used to coach for Smith County.
Yeah, and I can't help but wonder if that rivalry maybe wasn't a big rivalry in the 50s and 60s before classification, because there's not a large 6A school between the two.
Right.
And that's especially for Cookeville, that's their nearest 6A opponent, except for McMinnville probably.
Scott Murray goes to Murfreesboro and gets a big win for the Cougars. Clarksville Academy 27, Middle Tennessee Christian 24. They're undefeated, Murph.
Yeah, they are. Smurf's doing a good job in Clarksville, and I know that's got to be awfully satisfying for him. Middle Tennessee Christian also with a new head coach, a young man out of the state of Florida, and they're rebuilding over there a little bit. That one was a little closer than I expected it to be, but a big win nonetheless.
And Moore County out of Lynchburg gets a win 7-6 over Eagleville.
Not much of a surprise there. Both of those two teams were heavily loaded with seniors last year, and a bit of rebuilding going on both sides of the field in that one. Okay,
we'll look at the upcoming games, including region games and games of interest, when we return to the box score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team.
Catch coverage of high school football action on DTC Sports each week. Watch DTC3 every Friday night at 6:45 or online at dtc3.tv for football game night, as DTC Sports presents the area's best games. Watch this week as the Watertown Purple Tigers host the DeKalb County Tigers. Football game night all season long on DTC Sports.
The Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition encourages our teenagers to be the positive influence. Stand against the epidemic of opioid and stimulant usage by joining the Youth Coalition #TakeBackTeam. 6% of Smith County students reported misusing prescription drugs. The #TakeBackTeam challenges you to stand outside the stack. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
2 delicious options, 2 convenient locations. So make the entire family happy with just one stop to KFC Taco Bell. Located at 501 Gordonsville Highway in Gordonsville and 105 East Broad Street in Smithville, we've got you covered at KFC Taco Bell, no matter the food craving. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, get in the car and kick that hunger to the curb with a quick visit to KFC Taco Bell. Located in Gordonsville and Smithville. Stop by today.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for master maintenance technicians, maintenance trainer, electricians, miners, mill operators, mill technicians, warehouse attendant, business analyst, mine supervisor, and other amazing opportunities. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and much more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to the box score. Murphy Farrell along with myself, Terry Collins. We want to thank our fine title sponsor, which is Blackwell Realty and Auction, and the Josh Kirby team. And we're going to look at some statewide polls now, the Tennessee Associated Press poll. When you look at that, Gordonsville sitting there at number 8, gotten off to a good start. Murphy at 3-0. You know, that's one of the better starts for Coach Scott Clemens' squad.
Absolutely, and you know, when you think about it, over the last several years, Gordonsville generally is in that top 10 more times than not. Gordonsville has developed a pretty good reputation over the years, a couple of state championships, and Scott's done a great job in keeping that alive, and it'll be interesting to see how the second half of the season rolls on. I look for Gordonsville to put some more surprising wins. They've still got Fayetteville coming to town, the defending 1A state champion, but they knocked them off at their place last year, so that'll be an interesting matchup for sure.
Looking in Class 2A, Trousdale County at 2-0, Watertown at 1-2, but when you look at Watertown's 2 losses to Fayetteville and to Gordonsville, 2 top 10 teams.
2 very good football teams, and Coach Webster doesn't have anything to bow his head about. They're going to come around. They've lost some great speed from the last couple of years, but Watertown's still a dog in the hunt for sure, and that Trousdale-Watertown game still looming on the horizon. No doubt it'll be as good as ever.
Class 3A, East Nashville, who's in Smith County's district at 2-1. They're sitting there at number 5, and in Class 4A, not much of a surprise there. Upland with their win over Cookville and off to a 3-0 start. Adam Kane seems to have the bees rolling.
I think a lot of people were second guessing Upperman. How are they going to do at 4A? But as you said, they're doing very, very well. And I think Coach Kane is slowly but surely developing a great reputation as a coach in the Upper Cumberland. 2
teams that we've seen face each other in the playoffs. The last 2 we're going to talk about in 5A is Mount Juliet at 3-0, and then Class 6A, Oakland at 3-0. Of course, Oakland goes out of state, goes to Mississippi, and gets a big win.
Yeah, Coach Perry at Mount Juliet won't have to worry about Oakland, but there's plenty to worry about in 5A. Some really good football teams at the 5A level from one end of the state to the other, especially in the Knoxville area. But they're off to a good start thus far this year, for sure.
Let's go ahead and look at the upcoming games for the week out of Region 4 1A. That's going to be Joe Burns at Houston County, Gordonsville at Eagleville, Clay County at Cornersville, and Cosby at Red Bowling Springs. Murphy, a game maybe that jumps out?
Well, not really. Maybe the Gordonsville-Eagleville game. I don't think they've played each other in the past, and if I'm not mistaken, at least 2, if not 3, of the Eagleville coaches, including the head coach, were all members of Coach Boots Donnelly's coaching staff at MTSU, and they've worked really well to get that relatively young program playing some really good football.
I was thinking, and I went to this game, Gordonsville went to Eagleville a few years back in the playoffs.
Okay.
And won, if my memory, which is very short, serves me correct. Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4 2A games. That's going to be Trousdale County at Macon County, and that should be a great one, Murph.
It's a war. It's a border war, if you will, and I think probably Trousdale County will end up going into that thing a little bit of an underdog. It's on the road, Macon County throwing the ball awfully well, and I'd say Coach Shoulders and his defenders up there will test or his offensive players will test Trousdale County's secondary a lot.
It's going to be a battle of wheels. Trousdale County loves to run it, doesn't throw it a lot.
Right.
Macon County throws it a lot. Have the ability to run, but it's going to be check and checkmate, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to go see that one for sure.
Northwest at Whites Creek in our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week here on DTC Sports. Should be a great one as well. It's developed in a pretty good rivalry, Murph. We'll talk about it later, DeKalb at Watertown.
Yeah, there's some interesting numbers that our staff here has put together for that game. Some were a little surprising to me, but we'll get to those here in just a moment.
Harpus at Sycamore and Westmoreland at Smith County, and then East Robertson at Cheatham County. Any of those games, besides that Trousdale, Macon, and DeKalb Watertown, that you think will go down to the wire?
I think the Smith County-Westmoreland game, there have been some killer wars between those two schools 20 years or more ago, and I don't see any reason why that should not be the case this year. Smith County riding a bit of a tidal wave in the positive manner. Westmoreland struggling a little bit. Hopefully the Owls can keep that momentum going and come up with another big win there.
Let's look at Region 4 3A games upcoming. Franklin County at Giles County, Perry County at Community High School, Sequatchie at Jackson, and then of course Bledsoe County and Grundy County canceled those top 3 games, Murph, which is probably going to be the best one?
Boy, I don't know. They're all a bunch of yawners in my book. Franklin County with Coach Cunningham up there in his 2nd or 3rd year. I know they're hoping to be able to give Giles County a pretty good game, but that's one that most people in our viewing area don't give a flip about. It's Pulaski versus Winchester, and just not a lot of familiarity with those 2 areas. I will mention that Bledsoe-Grundy game. When I first saw that slide, I thought, they're going to play that game in Canada? No, I don't think so. That's a cancel.
For sure. And I'm afraid there's going to be more of those as COVID still looms in the area. Let's look at the Region 5 3A games upcoming. East Nashville, Hillsboro. Murphy, that's got a chance to be a good one.
It really does. Hillsboro off to a not expected, very slow start. I'm not sure that they've won a game yet. But the one great thing about Hillsboro this year is the fact that they're finally getting to play their home games at home. They've had a total remodel of their stadium up there, and I think if it wasn't last week, it's this week that they're going to dedicate that new stadium, and I know they've got to be awfully excited about that. Of
course, Westmoreland at Smith County, and then McGavock at Stratford, and Sequatchie at Jackson. Anything jump out to you, Murph?
Not a whole lot. The Sequatchie County-Jackson County game, one that's a regional game, so certainly that has interest among Smith County fans right there, but I think Sequatchie a pretty heavy favorite in that one, although the long trip to Gainesboro from Dunlap could help the Blue Devils a little bit in that contest.
All right, let's look at the Region 4 4A games for the week. One we talked about, Trowster County and Macon County, and you know, Murph, the good thing about that, it's both stadiums are huge in both venues. So if you want to go to the game, you've got an extra great chance to get a seat.
Yeah, you really do. And of course, this won't affect the game this year, but Trousdale County did a total facelift on theirs. New stands on both sides of the field, but that won't have an effect on that game. But still, it's still a border war, and I guess that one probably goes back a long, long time as well.
Next game there, Upperman at Fayetteville. That should be a great one.
I think so. That's one that I have some interest in because Fayetteville's the defending 1A state champion. Upperman is playing very well at the 4A level, but Fayetteville's got some kids that can fly, and they're very well coached. And I don't think Upperman has seen the kind of speed they're going to see when they go to Fayetteville in that one.
Monterey at Stone Memorial, 2 teams that haven't faced each other much, if any, or if ever. But, you know, with Monterey being so close to Crossville, probably only about 18, 20 miles between those 2 schools, they're going to tee it up in football.
It's exit 300 and exit 317, or actually it's the next exit after
320,
for Stone Memorial. But Monterey, I thought when I saw that they were going to 2A this year that they were going to struggle a bit, but I don't think Monterey's lost yet. They're playing very, very well.
North City at Cumberland County, and then another border war. They're going to play it on Thursday night. That's York and Livingston, and it doesn't matter what sport they play in. That has always been a heated rivalry.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably each other's biggest rival because they're both up there on the mountain, so to speak, a little bit. And that one should be a good one. Both teams struggling somewhat. York, even though they dropped to 2A, not quite the team I thought they were going to be.
We'll take a look at the Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week, plus get Murphy's matchups with the Guru when we return to the box score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team.
There's no shortage of real estate companies out there, but there's only one Blackwell Realty and Auction. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction has the knowledge and the experience necessary to help you. They understand that real estate sales happen because of the hours of work they put into every sale, whether representing you as the buyer, the seller, or both. Get started today the Kirby way. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction. Call them today or visit blackwellrealtyandauction.com.
2 delicious options, 2 convenient locations. So make the entire family happy with just one stop to KFC Taco Bell. Located at 501 Gordonsville Highway in Gordonsville and 105 East Broad Street in Smithville, we've got you covered at KFC Taco Bell, no matter the food craving. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, get in the car and kick that hunger to the curb with a quick visit to KFC Taco Bell. Located in Gordonsville and Smithville. Stop by today.
Does the service from your security company leave you feeling uncertain? Like us, you want to feel good about your security company because your home and family safety is so important.
For just $99.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3-window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and 3 months of monitoring. It's super easy to get started.
You're ready for local security service. Give us a call or visit DTC online and discover our local values today.
Powell and Metals Insurance, in business since 1894, provides knowledgeable and personal service to our clients. One call puts you in touch with a local agent who will help you shop from a variety of top companies. At Powell and Metals Insurance Agency, we work for you. Call today or visit us online anytime.
We are here to help you. Let us show you what customer service is all about. Give us a call today.
The Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition encourages our teenagers to be the positive influence. Stand against the epidemic of opioid and stimulant usage by joining the Youth Coalition #TakeBackTeam. 6% of Smith County students reported misusing prescription drugs. The #TakeBackTeam challenges you to stand outside the stack. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
And welcome back to the Box Score, sponsored by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team, as we are in our final segment, and we're going to look at the Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week on DTC Sports, and it's going to be a great one. We think it's developed in quite a rivalry, not only in basketball, where these two teams reside in the same district, but in football as well. DeKalb County at Watertown. Not a lot of mileage going up Highway 70 from Watertown to Smithville, Murph.
No, but what's the speed trap, people?
Yeah.
Just in case. It'd be pretty easy to pick the Tigers in this one, but like you said, I think it'll be a fun game to watch, and it's kind of neat that, like you said, they hadn't played a whole lot in the last 20 or so years, I don't think, but Watertown growing so fast that it's rapidly approaching enrollment that DeKalb County has. Right?
Let's go ahead and look at the history of this series. This marks the 43rd meeting between the schools. Began back in 1963. And Watertown surprisingly leads that all-time series 31-10 and 1. Murphy, that's I would have never guessed that.
Well, I think Watertown's probably more of a football town than Smithville is, and that's no reflection on Smithville today. It's getting to be a good football town, but football's always been a pretty big deal with the Robinsons, Brownie and Bill, and now the son-in-law, Coach Webster. It's just been a football town a whole lot longer, I think.
Of course, Watertown won last year's meeting against DeKalb 21-14 in Smithville. Watertown's won 10 of the last 11 matchups, and pretty impressive Gavin Webster record of 7-1 as a head coach against Steve Trapp.
Yeah, I didn't really remember it being that one-sided in the last 10 or 15 years, however long it's taken to accumulate those 11 matchups, but it could go either way, I think, this year, for sure.
Well, I think the key is to get Watertown's offense going. Murphy, they have struggled. Even last week, a couple field goals, all they get on the board. They struggled against Gordonsville. They've got to get their offense going, I think, if they're going to win this week, because no doubt DeKalb County is going to put some points on the board.
But without a doubt, they've shown that they can do that pretty regularly. And like I've mentioned before, the speed factor that's been such a big part of Watertown's offense the last 4 or 5 years, I guess, just hasn't come around yet this year.
DeKalb County's got more losses to Watertown than any other school. That's a pretty impressive stat. Tigers last won in Watertown. That's DeKalb County Tigers in 2008. When you look at points per game, it's kind of been of a defensive struggle, 21, 22 to 11 when these two teams meet.
That score could be that average could be remarkably close to this year's score, but I think the numbers would be reversed, and DeKalb might be the one scoring in the 20s on this one.
All right, Murph, get your little
get my turban on,
and we're ready for you to start picking some games for us. Eagleville at Gordonsville.
Well, I think the Gordonsville Tigers should win that one. Eagleville rebuilding a little bit, and Coach Floyd Walker just doesn't have as strong a senior class as he's had the last 2 or 3 years. I really like the way this Gordonsville team is playing right now.
All right, Gordonsville at Smith, or Westmoreland at Smith,
We talked at length in a couple of segments about that game. I think on paper anyway, it could go either way, but Smith County's got that momentum going right now, and you know as well as I do, that's a big deal, especially in football, I think, if you can maintain that momentum. And the Owls scored 50-plus points last week. That's pretty impressive. Westmoreland hasn't gotten anywhere close to that. I like the way the Owl defense is playing right now as well.
All right, Cannon County at the Webb School.
Again, momentum. Cannon County got the COVID win last week against Sequatchie, and this Webb School is only about 2 or 3 years away from playing 8-man football. I really like Cannon County to put another mark in the win column in this one on the football field.
Okay, our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week on DTC Sports, DeKalb County at Watertown.
Got to go with DeKalb County in that one. They're playing awfully well right now, and Watertown still trying to find its identity, I think, in this year's attack. So I think that's a pretty easy pick. So I'll pick DeKalb. Watertown will probably win.
Let's go ahead and look at some more picks. These are statewide and probably the biggest game in the state, Murphy, year to year. Most of the time, it's the loser of this game is their only loss of the year, and the other team a lot of times goes undefeated and wins the state championship. Not always the case, because last year Oakland had something to say about that, but Maryville at Alcoa.
Yeah, and I don't think this year will be any different. It's probably Maryville to win, simply because they've got a much tougher route to go. They're a 6A team, Alcoa 3A. But Coach Rankin has told me on multiple occasions over the years that if he can beat Maryville once every 5 or 6 years, he feels like he's done very well. And this year could be one of those, but Alcoa doesn't have the big name players either. So even though it's a road game, I've got to go with Maryville in this one.
All right, Whitehaven at Brentwood Academy.
Whitehaven, a setback last week against Germantown. I know that had to not set very well with Coach Rodney. Gone brain dead. But anyway, Salisbury. Yeah. I was thinking Dangerfield, and I just couldn't get it out of my mind. Brentwood Academy with a setback as well, as they lost to CPA. So both teams very anxious to get back in the win column. I saw 2 years ago when Whitehaven played at Brentwood Academy for the first time. I'm going to have to go with Whitehaven in this one, I think.
All right, MBA at CPA, another private school matchup.
Oh, I tell you what, this will be a great game. Last week I would have said MBA might win this game, but CPA playing so well right now, I've got to go with the Lions in that one.
All right, Trousdale County going to Lafayette.
Trousdale County just hasn't shown me to be the team that they've been in recent past years. They don't have that big name player like they've had in the past, and even the best of teams run into a drought like that, if you will. So I've got to go with Macon County in that one.
And our final pick, Brentwood going to Paris. Beautiful area up there, going to Henry County. And Henry County is such a great atmosphere, Murphy, to watch a football game.
Oh, it is, and the pregame is even better with all the tailgating going on, because you can have one of 5 or 6 different venues just by of types of food. You know, fish, gumbo, jambalaya, barbecue, the whole 9 yards. It's a great place to go. But Henry County desperately needs a win. Brentwood under a first-year head coach. I'm going to go with the Patriots in that one.
Murph, the good thing about Henry County that I remember, I don't remember the score and probably don't even remember the other team, but I remember how great their tailgate food was.
So, absolutely.
We want to thank everybody for watching the box score this week. It's been brought to you by Blackwell Realty and Josh Kirby team. For Justin Malden, Murphy Fair, I'm Terry Collins. Good night from the box score.